Okay, so I'm Cynthia, and I'm the host of the reality series of CPS The Horror Stories. I'm in the state of California, and I have had a case myself. It was open for a year and a half. CPS kidnapped my kids. Um, their beginning allegations with me was that I was a drug addict, which I've never even touched. I've never even seen drugs. So I was able to prove that wrong right away. But then they went after me, as I showed you with my health issues, to say that I was too sick to be a single parent. So
Wow.
my case is closed. As you heard, one of my children, I do have my kids back.
That's
But
awesome.
as we've heard in all these stories, that does not mean it is the end of CPS. So, yes. And today I have Katrina. Is that how you pronounce your name?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome. So, Katrina, hi. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell me where you are and how old you are, what you do for work, and all that fun stuff about you.
Okay. I'm Katrina Ellis, and I'm from Jasper, Texas. My daughter was taken in 2017, October the 6th. I haven't seen her in 3 years, and I don't know where she's at or if she's safe or not. Um, no one will tell me anything.
Wow.
I asked the police to go and do a check on her, and they arrested me. So, I mean, I really just gave up on calling the authorities.
Right. Yeah, I understand. So my question was, if CPS had been in your life previous to this, like if they were in your life as a child, when you were
Yes,
a child.
not when I was young, but when I had my first two children, they were in my life. They come into my life when I had my son. His grandmother wanted custody of him because I was wild. I really was wild, and you know, uh, really wasn't able to in the shape to take care of him at the time. Like support him. But she ended up keeping him, and then my other daughter, when she was born, I had drugs in my system, and they took her right off, from the hospital. And my aunt ended up adopting her, and I went to prison for a while, and then I got out, and several years later, I met my husband, and we got married, and we had my child, the one that I'm dealing with now with CPS. Well, not now, but I had been
Yeah.
for the past 2 years.
Well,
Um,
let's start with the very first child. How old were you when you had your first child?
I was 21 years old.
Okay. And you said it was a boy?
No, yeah, it was a little boy.
Okay.
His name is. Oh,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
It's okay, but your camera is it's like really shaky.
Okay, let me try to fix this because I'm moving around.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So you had what year was that?
What year was it? When I had my son?
Yeah.
He was born in 2001.
Okay. So he's 18, 19 now?
No, he was born in 2002. I'm sorry.
Okay.
He's,
So
he's,
17, 18.
he's 18, not 2. I think he's
Okay.
18.
Yeah, 2002, my stepdaughter was born that same year. She's 17 and will
Yeah,
be 18 in October.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, he's
So
18.
okay. So do you mind if we start with him and how CPS what happened?
Well, at that time, I was not doing too good, and I was just like on drugs and wild as hell, and really I didn't realize how serious, having a baby and a responsibility of that was,
Right.
Um, so I really just was like carefree, and um, that did come, that's how they got involved. It was my fault, that time.
Yeah.
Um, and it's good that they did step in because I was not doing too good. I'm not saying I would hurt my child or something would have happened. I'm just saying that, it's better for me to know that I was, there was a reason for them to come into my life, and not just
Yep.
being upset because you say something or someone says something and then they're retaliating and they
Right.
want to just get you back,
Right. And
and that was
sometimes it's needed for us to hit our bottom to be able to make a change,
right.
Um, so they came in. Do you happen? How old was he when they came?
He was 2 to 3. He was in between 2 and 3 years old.
Okay. And did somebody call or did something
Yes, ma'am.
specific happen?
His grandmother and grandfather really, you know, were concerned about him, and they stepped in to
Is
really
that
take it.
your mom and dad
No,
or
that was my baby's father's mother and father.
okay.
Um,
And so was he living with you full time or was dad there too?
no, dad was in prison, but um, and has been for most of his life. But um, he stayed with his grandmother for most of the time, and I would go pick him up, and he would stay with me, on weekends or whatever, and then I would bring him back home.
This
But
is before CPS got involved?
no, this was afterwards. He stayed with me full time before,
Okay.
but afterwards, he moved in with her.
You remember the day that they showed up?
I remember the day that I think I signed my rights because they tricked me into doing
How
it
did
away
that
from my
happen?
son. They didn't trick me. They just didn't explain to me, what I was about to sign. They just said they were there to, um, for me to acknowledge that they had come and serve me papers and that they needed me to sign them, and I did. So, but I didn't realize that is how they got me to sign my rights up from, my son.
That's what they did. They did that to me. They falsified, they took my signature. They told me that I was signing a paper to get my kids back.
They
And
kidnapped my child. Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah, no, it's okay. But they did that. And then I went in front of the judge, and the judge said, did not bring up anything from the conversation. But all he said was, did you agree to sign the papers? Well, yes. Were you aware and informed of what you were signing? Yes. Nobody forced you to sign it or agree to it? No. Okay. So what they told me in the room was I was getting my kids back in a couple weeks. Go ahead and sign this paper to close out the case.
Really?
Yeah.
It does. That don't surprise me. They kidnapped my child from school, and they didn't have a warrant. The school allowed them to do that. They had just left the house where I was, and I turned them away because I asked them. She said, "I'm going to need you to take a drug test," and I was like, "Do you have a warrant?" And she was like, "No." Well, she got mad, I guess, and she was like, "Well, I'll just go to the school." Well, 15 minutes later, I was at my daughter's school to pick her up, and she was gone already. So they didn't have time to obtain a warrant, so
Wow. Yeah, we'll get there because I want to know all the details. So,
uh,
okay, back to your son. How when they came, um, did they have a warrant and everything?
I'm not even sure. I was like 22, 23 years old. And I was like, I didn't really know much about,
Okay.
you know, how I've never been dealt, I mean, I've never dealt with CPS up until then, you know.
Right.
That was my first child, and I really wasn't familiar with any of the legal system,
Yep.
you know.
And the main reason that I ask these questions is just so that when we get to what's going on now, or the most recent ones, we can see the difference, you know,
Right.
in one where you feel that it was more right for the
Right.
first one. So how long did he stay with the grandparents?
He still is living there right now.
Okay.
But you know, it tore me apart. But
Of course.
I mean, there's really nothing I could do at that time. You know,
Right.
as far as getting an attorney, I couldn't hire an attorney.
Right.
Um,
Did
and just
your visitation start off as supervised?
no,
Did
none of that. We didn't even get none of that involved. We just stopped it. I allowed him to stay there,
Okay.
and she allowed me to pick him up whenever, as long as when me and my ex would get into it, she made me promise that I wouldn't stay there. You know, I would bring him home if something bad happened. You know, and he was in a, you
Yeah.
know, and I did that, and
That's
she respected that, and I respected her. You know,
so it seemed like there was a pretty healthy relationship.
right.
Okay. So then moving forward, when did your next child come into the picture?
Okay. It was after I had my son in 2004. My daughter was born. My youngest daughter. I mean, the oldest daughter.
Okay.
And my aunt, while okay, I went to prison right after I had her, and my aunt took her and really, basically, just kidnapped her. You know,
Can I ask why you went to prison?
for drugs. It was a drug charge. It wasn't really drugs. I wasn't convicted of doing drugs. A friend of mine had drugs, and I was put on probation, and I didn't follow through with my probation. I was charged with drugs, I guess. Yes, I was, but it was unadjudicated probation, and I didn't follow through with it, and they ended up making me go to state jail. Um, the, you know, the original charge, which was drugs.
Okay. And so when you got arrested, how old was the baby, your daughter?
She was an infant. She had just been born. She wasn't 6 months old yet.
Okay. And then did you ask? You said it was your sister?
No, it was my aunt,
Your
my
aunt.
mother's
Okay.
sister.
Okay. Did you ask her if she would watch her?
Yes, ma'am. I asked her if she would take care of her while I was not going to be there, and she said, "Yeah, if you would sign over a deal to say that I'm over her until you get out of jail, like um, just to take care of her, so that she would doctor medical attention or anything if she needed it." And I said, "Okay." So I wrote the letter, and then when I got out, she was basically like, she just lied and said that she adopted my child, and I didn't know any better. Um, I just know what she told me,
How
and
how old was the baby now?
she was about 2 years old almost when I got out, or 18 months, something like that.
So you were in jail for about a year and a half?
A little over. I was in jail for a little over a year. I'm not sure exactly. It's been so long, but yeah, I was in jail, and then when I got out, she was about 18, 19 months old.
Okay. And just out of curiosity, when you were in jail, did your aunt, send you pictures or give you updates or keep you?
She wrote me a letter, and just told me that my uncle, who was her husband, had passed away.
Oh.
And she never did send me any pictures or anything. I don't think she sent me any pictures. But I don't even remember. It's been so far back.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't.
Here
I've
you
seen
just,
pictures.
so then so you get out of jail and what happens next?
Wait a minute. Let me back up.
Yeah.
When I was still in the holding, before I went to the state jail, she sent someone up there to terminate my rights. That's what it was. And I was angry with her because of that, because I knew she was trying to take my child and keep her from me, because she wouldn't bring her to see me. And just, I knew, I kind of had that feeling that she was what she was trying to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
And what it was that like a
It was
person
terrible.
with documents
And she sent a lady up there, and they was like, "We needed you to acknowledge this and sign this." I was like, "Oh no, I'm not touching it."
yeah.
And they went on and left or whatever.
So then what happens next?
When I got out, my aunt was just like, she had a bunch of I think false documents or something. It had to have been, because I never gave my rights up. But I'm not sure how that works. Maybe they did notify me while I was in there, or they can do that. I'm not sure how it works, but
Yeah.
I know that I never agreed to, give her custody of my child, although I was in prison.
Yeah, no attorney involved, nothing.
Right.
Okay, so what, was there a battle now?
No, she died. My aunt died, and my cousin ended up basically taking her from my aunt, and she lied to the police and told them I said I was going to kill her in order for me not to be able to go around my daughter. To have a restraining order put on me, she told them that I threatened to kill her, which I would have never done that,
Yeah.
But, I just went along. I mean, I don't go around them because of that. I want to see my daughter doing good, and she seems to be okay. But
so you never got your daughter back?
No, they kept her, and they have kept her from me ever since my aunt died.
When did your aunt die?
Died in 2013 or 2012. I think it was 2013.
Okay, but before she died, did you try to fight to get your daughter back?
I mean, I didn't have any kind of help to fight to get her back. I was,
but I
didn't even have a car or.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't have any kind of, financial help. I wasn't working. I didn't really know what to do or who to turn to,
Where did you live?
In Jasper, the same place. And it seems like they cover up everything and sweep it under the rug kind of deal here. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's, I guess, discrimination, basically.
Okay. So when was your next child born?
My youngest daughter was born in 2009. February. I mean, not February, I'm sorry. She was born October the 13th of 2009.
How many kids did you say you have in total? 3?
I have 3 children, yes.
Okay. So what happens with child number 3?
After she was born, me and her dad were married, but we didn't have a really good relationship. And when we first started out, we were having to live with his mother, which that's the one who has my daughter now, supposedly. And he died right after the CPS case began. He was.
Who died? The father?
Her daddy.
Okay.
Was murdered, or something happened to him, and he passed away. Um, then where was I at? Oh, right after I had her, we moved to his mother's, and then we were fighting like constantly. He ended up pulling my hair out by the top, a big root of, the whole patch of my hair was pulled out, and I got a restraining order on him and dropped it later on. I'm not sure why. Just I don't know. I guess I was in love with him, and it was just like on and off fighting, and so finally we just ended up breaking it off, and we fought for custody, but I ended up with custody. And when I dropped the restraining order, it caused him to be able to get the upper hand, I guess get the ball rolling to where he could get custody or try to take custody. And we went through a long divorce, but although we had split custody, I ended up keeping my child because he wasn't paying child support, and he ended up like staying away for like 3 years straight. He did not come around, but we were basically hiding from him because he was real abusive. And after the 3 years, his girlfriend or something got in a wreck and died, and that's when he started coming back around, visiting. But I kept her from when she was born till 7 years old. I was a single parent, and we had a good, time and everything. She didn't have her daddy, and she didn't really see her grandma at all. She was kind of scared of him and her, and I don't understand why they brought her to her grandma's, knowing that we had previously had a restraining order, and she was scared of them, and they knew that.
Why did you drop the restraining order or cancel
because
it?
he talked me into it. And I allowed him to because I was in love with him. He sweet talked to me, I guess, or and it's kind of hard to explain why I done that. It was very silly.
What were you doing for work during that time?
I was cleaning houses and just self-employed. I did self-employment basically all my life. I do extreme cleaning.
And how old was your daughter at the time?
She was at the time what?
That this was going on.
4 or 5 years old.
Okay.
As far as, yeah.
So you dropped the restraining order, and how were you guys fighting for custody? Was it through the court system?
Yes.
And what was the custody that had been given at that time? What were the orders?
He was to pay me like $220 or $500 every month, and we were supposed to swap him a week, me a week. When she was in school, he would have the weekends, and she just didn't want to go back over there because we fought, and he scared her so bad from me and him fighting. And basically, it wasn't just his fault; it was both of our fault, for even fighting, even having a part in it. But she was deathly scared because of that, and she really just didn't want to go back over there. I gave her, the option. I was like, if you want to go see your daddy, I'm not going to stop you. If that's what you want to do, I don't want you to be without a daddy, be without your daddy if you want to go see him. Because I didn't feel like it was right,
So, how did CPS get involved with her then?
She went to school after the hurricane. We lost her. Basically, we were moving back and forth from Colma where her daddy lives, to having to bring her to school in Jasper. And I couldn't make that drive every day. So a friend, supposedly a friend of mine, told me that I could stay at his place, you know, to get her to school and everything in Jasper. Well, I ended up, some things happened at his house, and my daughter went to school and was telling our teacher asked, does anybody need help with anything, you know, since we were left devastated by the hurricane. Anything y'all need, y'all just let me know. Well, she was like, me and my mommy need a place to go. You know, we need a new home because the women's shelter had turned us down. They were full. And
what year was this?
Stable where we're at. This was in 2017. October 2017.
What hurricane was it, if you don't mind?
Harvey.
Okay.
Anyhow, she was like, we're not safe where we're at. You know, we were living here and there basically because of the things that were going on at this time. We didn't understand what was going on.
Right.
I think there's some other things going on besides just the CPS deal, you know. But I don't really want to get into that right now. I think that had a lot to do with it. When she went to school and she had said things, you know, about what was going on. And it just, that's what caused the whole ordeal, you know. They didn't have any probable cause. That was all, just what she had told them that she needed help with.
With living.
Right.
So,
well, yeah, basically living with a home, you know. She didn't want a stable environment. That's what she had.
But you couldn't have been the only one in that situation.
No.
Okay, so when she made that request, how many days after did CPS show up?
It was maybe 5 days tops, I think. I'm not real for sure, but it was about, yeah.
And they came to her school and pulled her out of school?
Yes, they did that after they left the residence where I was at. I was deathly ill. I could barely get off the couch when they come to the house. But finally, the neighbor who's the mother of the guy that owns the house, she come and unlocked the door and made me get up to go to the door. Which that's why I knew something was, you know, what I don't really want to get into it, but yeah. And I got up and she was like, I need you to take a drug test right off the bat, you know, and it's like.
Who said that? The social worker?
The lady, yes, that was supposed to be the investigator or whatever.
When you opened the door and she came to the door.
And let me tell you, she was camped out all night the night before in the yard right by where we were at, in the same automobile.
How do you know that?
Because we seen her.
You just didn't know who it was?
I had no clue who it was, but come to find out, it was the same car that she pulled up in. It was a black. Yeah. That was the same car. And I guess she was watching me, and, you know, I guess. And I understand if they done that for the safety of my child, but that's not the reason. You know, that's not why this happened.
So she comes and knocks on the door. You said that you weren't feeling well. What was wrong?
I didn't say anything.
No.
What was wrong with me? Yeah. I was very ill. Somebody was injecting me with something. That's what she went to school and told her teacher. And I mean, it was true, you know, but
how?
All she told her was that we needed help. I didn't want to say that, you know, but I mean, it's just, a lot of other things that I really don't want to speak of right now until after. I mean, I haven't even talked to anyone. I mean, I went to the authorities, but they're not. I mean,
if you're okay, I'm fine with you telling.
I know, but I don't want to. I really am not okay with it.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think I should get into all that right now.
Yeah, I don't know what you're fine with telling, but I just, so if there's a way that you can say something like, something happened that I don't want to share, but at least that way we know there's a
But it kind of
part.
leaves you in a blank where you don't really hear the whole story. I mean, it's kind of hard not to, but then
Right. But because well, just.
But I don't want to put too much out there either,
I get that, but just knowing, hey, she went to school and said that we, hang on one second, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
She went to school and said that you guys needed housing. But now that there's something else, that's a big part. There's
right. That was the main part.
Yeah.
But they never offered any assistance. And if someone's into something, why would they want a drug test? Knowing, and can't they go back from that and see what was being it?
So
won't
she
it show?
didn't tell them somebody was injecting you with something.
Yes.
Okay.
She said she had, and they changed the words on the paperwork. I still have it. To rug marks. Her daughter found rug marks instead of needle marks on her hips. Or her daughter said she seen rug marks on her, but that's not true. My daughter.
So was somebody else? Okay. Was somebody? Do you have an idea of who could have been doing this to you?
Yes.
Okay.
The only person that had access to the house.
Was this happening to her as well?
No, none at all. Because I mean, she was with me. I mean, I made sure. The only time that happened was after I would fall asleep. I would stay up for days knowing that, and then I would pass out because I was so scared to go to sleep, where we were at.
Right.
And if we would leave or something, that's when everybody else started getting involved. We would leave, and I didn't have a driver's license because I don't know why. I don't even want to get into it. But anyways.
So did she see this happen to you?
She never did see anything, I don't think. But I can't say. I mean, I don't think so. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, it was not safe where we were at. I do know that.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it.
And it was okay, for her to go somewhere else, but not them steal my child and take her for 3 years straight.
Yeah. So when they show up at the house, they knock on the door. You answer. Do they come in? No, they
don't come in because I never allowed them any kind of leadway to come in this house. It's not my house. And
so they said, we need a drug test. Here's a cup.
She said, I'm going to need you to take this. And I was like, do you have a warrant? That's the only thing I said.
Good.
And that's all, that I said. And she told on the paperwork that I would not comply, or I wouldn't comply with their program or whatever. They told the judge, they made it sound like, the truth, but then they turned them around like lies, like, it's just hard to explain, but it was not right. They changed the wording on the paperwork, and they told me that if I wanted my child back, I was going to have to go and do rehab. And I didn't need rehab. I was like, why? Would I do rehab when I'm not on drugs?
Now, just out of curiosity, because I know that you had said you had used drugs in the past.
Right.
When did you stop using drugs?
I hadn't used drugs for years. I mean, when me and my husband divorced, I kind of started, messing with it here and there. But no, I wasn't on. I never did use drugs like that.
Okay.
They basically come at me like that was an issue, and they told me that if I did not have, if I wasn't first in line to go to rehab, that I couldn't get into one, and I would have to be positive for drugs in order to get into one, or
Yeah.
else they're not going to let me into one, and I'm not going to get her back unless I go into one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can't win, and I mean, it's like you either got to be on drugs to get into this rehab, or you're going to lose your child.
Yep.
So hell, I went and got on it. I mean, in order for them to drug test me and me be dirty, in order to get into a rehab.
Right.
Went to the rehab, and I was thinking, what am I doing? I mean, I didn't. It was spur of the moment. I wasn't thinking when I went. I was just nervous about my child. I didn't want to lose my child.
What did you use, if you don't mind me asking?
Methamphetamine.
Okay. So let's go back to the day. So did you drug test on the spot for her?
I took several drug tests, and
But that day, did you do it that day?
that day. Which day? When
The
they
day-
first came?
Yes.
No, I don't think I. No, I don't think so. Oh yes, I think I did do a drug test, and I failed it, or she said I failed it. But I had Adderall, and I wasn't doing drugs at that time. I had just been deathly ill from I don't know what, but I went ahead and took a mouth swab. That's what it was, and she said I failed it.
Okay. Did you see it by chance?
So I never seen any paperwork or the test itself at all, and she never, said anything else about it, but just basically kind of told me that if the next time I took one and it came out, positive, I couldn't see my child. I couldn't even go to see her with supervision. They wouldn't allow me even to see my child for even being supervised at all. And basically, that's when, further and further, it seemed like I didn't hear from anyone. They kept sending the any court dates. I went to like two different court dates. Then the next ones, they said my attorney died. That's why I was not notified of when they did the parental rights. When they terminated them. I was not even notified of a hearing.
Hold on one second. So when they came to your house, the very first day, you did the mouth swab. Did she?
No, I didn't do it until after they stole my child from school, and they railroaded me into doing it because they told me if I did not do it, they were going to keep my child from me, and I could see her if I took that mouth swab. So I said, okay.
Okay, but the first day that they came to your house, you said, do you have a warrant? And that was pretty much it. Was anything else said that day?
Not except for that's the same day that I ended up having to take the mouth swab. When I went into her office from the school to go look for my child because she was missing.
Right. So you went to school to pick up your daughter. She's not there.
Right.
Did the school tell you?
Yes, they told me that. Or a police officer met me at the gate as I went to go ask him where my daughter was, and he said that she would be at the office over there, where their office is. And I was like, why would y'all let her leave and not even notify me?
So you go to the
yes,
office,
I there.
and They make you do a drug test, a mouth swab,
Uh-huh.
and then what happens? You failed.
She told me that my daughter was placed at her grandma's, and I knew my daughter was scared to death
Right.
of them.
Of them. Why was she scared of them?
Because her little grandson was like mean. They bullied my daughter a lot. I don't know why, but it's like she showed favoritism towards the little boy instead of which was her other grandson, and not to my daughter. You know, it was like
Yeah.
they were kind of mean to my daughter. And then I caught the little boy one day asking her to pee on. He was saying, "Alyssa, pee on me,
When did
pee on me,"
that
and
happen?
I had it on video. I mean, I was just videoing him playing, and she wasn't even paying attention to him, and he's sitting over there saying, "Pee on me," and trying to
When
hold
did
her
that
over
happen?
when we were at her house visiting.
This was before CPS got involved?
No, it was during the time CPS was involved. But I
Okay.
didn't understand why they wanted to bring her there.
So hold on, just because I want to try to stick to a timeline because it kind of gets a little confusing. So the same day of school, they come to your house, they go pick her up, you go to the office, they do the mouth swab, they tell you she's not even there at the office, she's at the grandparents, she's scared. What do they tell you is the next step? That there's court, or
They tell me that I needed to go. From where? From the school
after school you went to the
to
CPS
the office,
office?
and she told me that I would have to wait a week. They wouldn't even let me use the phone and talk to my child. I think it was like a week, and she told me that they would do me another drug test, and if it didn't come back positive, well then I could see her, you know, in the
Okay.
office with him for 1 hour,
Yeah.
supervised.
Okay. What were you positive on?
I have no idea. They never did say anything. They just told me that I couldn't see my daughter. And they seen the bruises all up and down my legs where I mean, you know, and they didn't even acknowledge none of that. They never asked me if I needed help with anything, you know. They never told me I had to take any classes. I knew that I had to because I had been involved with them before, but I mean, nobody ever said a word. It's like,
Okay. So hold on. So after that day, when was your first court hearing?
I'm not exactly sure the date, but
Well,
it was like
roughly.
2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, something like that. After
Okay. And in
10
that
days, maybe 10 days, I think.
in that time frame, you're able to see your daughter, but it's supervised at the CPS
No,
office.
they didn't allow me to see my daughter at all.
Okay,
She said that,
I thought you said that there would be
well,
a
yeah,
visit.
if I would have, she said that if I would have passed the drug test, but I wasn't passing them, she said. So apparently, that's why I didn't get to see my daughter. I didn't even get to visit with her at all.
Okay. So when you go to court the first time, what happens?
They're trying to hurry up and get me. There was like, hurry, you know, you got to pick somebody to be an attorney, you know. They wanted me to. I don't understand why they was rushing me like that.
Who
It
was
was
rushing
like
you?
everyone in there was like trying to make me like. And then I finally told one of the guys, I was like, I don't need you as my attorney, you know, because I'm not gonna lie and say that I'm doing something I'm not doing. You know, I'm not addicted to drugs. I don't need rehab. I'm not gonna let you try to steer me into that, you know, so y'all could just take over my child. And basically that's what they were basically doing. You know, I mean, I wasn't the perfect parent, but no parent deserves for their child to be taken and just, you know, sold, kidnapped, and brought to. I have not seen my child in 3 years. I don't know where she's at. I don't know if she's safe. It's kind of, you know, it's horrific to go through.
Yeah. So, okay. After the day you're being rushed and everything at court, did they give you a case plan or anything like that?
They did, but after that, I just lost it. Because a couple of months, it was I don't even know how many months was into it. And her dad dies, and that really, I mean, it was so devastating because we were still together. We were divorced, but we were back together, you know, at that time. And it was just like it almost killed me. I mean, I couldn't. Even now, I'm just. It's kind of hard. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But it's like after he died, I was really not able to see my daughter because they took over. I mean, it was like his mother began selling every thing we had over there at our dad's. I'm sorry, and they sold everything off the place. Um, they're trying to sell my daughter's place right now, and they don't have any right, you know, to do that. It's kind of hard, you know, not know where my child's at, you know.
Yeah. So, where is this now?
Uh, I mean, nobody will tell me anything.
When was your last court hearing?
That was in October of 2018.
So since then, do you still have visitation with your daughter?
None. I haven't seen my daughter at all. Since then, they wouldn't allow me to see her. They moved. She moved. And when I called the police to go check on her, they arrested me and brought me to jail because I wanted them to go and check and make sure my child was okay. Sorry. The charge was criminal trespass, and I never did even go on her property. I just called the authorities and asked them to go check on my child. They come to a store and met me and arrested me for criminal trespass.
How long were you in jail?
Several days. And then I think I got bonded out after that. I went to jail 5 times on a no driver's license, or driving with a license invalid. And I went to jail either 5 or 6 times on that same charge. Even after the 3rd time I went, she promised me that she would throw it out if I went to the Burke Center. Within 30 days of being in jail, it was just for a no driver's license, but she was supposed to have thrown it out, and I ended up going to court 2 more times on that same ticket that she supposedly was going to throw out. She told the attorney, the court-appointed attorney, she didn't remember saying that. It was something to do with the whole ordeal. I mean, they're all involved. That's the way I'm looking at it.
Okay. So, did you lose your parental rights?
That's what they said, but I never. I wouldn't know because I was not even sent a letter to go to the hearing. They never notified me, and they said that my lawyer was supposed to, but he died.
When did
I didn't find out. before the hearing, they say. But I wouldn't know because the only way that I found out that they had the hearing was I seen a judge or one of the ladies in court. I went for like 2 tickets I had. I was going to go plea them out or whatever. They told me that they had already had the final hearing and that my attorney died. You know, that's why I wasn't notified. And it just made me feel like, you know, my husband died and now my lawyer died. And it's like, that just, I mean, it just, the odds of that happening the way it happened, it's not possible. I don't see it. No, there's some reason that it happened. It's not just weird. It was a pattern, and it all goes together.
Yeah.
You look at the whole thing, you know, if you were seeing it from around.
Well, so are you trying to fight to get?
I'm gonna fight, and till the last breath I take.
Good. What is it you're
not
doing?
gonna stop. You know, with my children, both my daughter and my youngest daughter. My oldest son, he's old enough to where he can, you know, make his own decisions. But my 16 and my 10-year-old are not. And I mean, whatever it takes. I don't know what to do, you know.
Well, I'd like for you to, you know, keep in touch and let us know what happens.
I will. I'll sure do that. I appreciate you, you know, letting me be on the show and everything. And, you know, I'll keep y'all in my prayers and keep me in yours. So.
Of course. Well, I hope you have a great evening.
You too, and good luck with your surgery.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
All right. Bye-bye.
You have a good day.
You too. Bye.